Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America, your home for home loans, and Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Nice and quiet out on the roadways. Good speeds on the Valley freeways. Overall, no accidents to report, but you will see some jammed up traffic both directions of 5400 south between Mountain View and Highway 111. At University of Utah Health, they take care of Utah like Utah takes care of each other. There's only one you. Be treated that way. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather partly cloudy and warm today. High of 94, 96 tomorrow. Thunderstorms and 80 on Saturday, down to 67 on Sunday. It's 85 degrees right now at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's source for exclusive access and insights behind the news. Here's the opinion page editor of the Deseret News, Boyd Matheson, on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome, everyone, to Inside Sources. Today, here on KSL News Radio, I am Boyd Matheson, opinion editor at the Deseret News. Great to be with you. And as always, we have a lot of ground to cover in the fastest 60 minutes of radio as we attempt to slow things down for you, help you divide the rage from the reason, elevate the conversation, connect the dots, and make the news make sense today so we can all move forward in a positive way. And we're continuing to monitor and watch all the events here at home in the state of Utah and around the country. As we continue to look at the conversations that need to be happening in this country. But I wanted to get started today with a couple of things. We often talk about the difference between a moment and a movement. And our country is really, really good at moments. We're good at stopping. We're good at rallying for a little while. We're good at coming together after big things. Our challenge is we lose focus really fast. And the question is can we sustain a movement? And so it's interesting to look historically at what goes on and how movements are actually created. And today's a really interesting day to do that. If you look at it just as a this day in history kind of thing, all kinds of amazing things happen on this day. One is going to surprise you that I'm going to share at the end of the show today. A couple of really significant people born on this day for the state of Utah. So we'll come back to that. But I actually wanted to start today that it was on this day in 1989, the Chinese crackdown of protest in Tiananmen Square, which I think is still sending ripples out and still has a lot of influence and a lot of inspiration for a lot of people who are trying to start fledgling movements to make progress in a host of different ways. And so we wanted to go back to Richard Roth from CBS News. He was in Beijing during the original Tiananmen Square, was reporting on that. And here's how he described it on this day, June 4th, 1989.
One man alone, of course, can't stop an army. Except for a moment, that's exactly what happened here. For 3 minutes in the middle of the day, an army was stopped by a man who stood still. A man who'd made up his mind, it seems, though why we just don't know. But when bystanders rushed in to save this stubborn soul, it wasn't easily done. He was pushed away at last, faceless in the crowd. Safe, we think, but in a city verging on calamity. What moves a man to just stand still? Is it courage or outrage or madness? We can't tell what was on his mind, and we can't forget what he did. Richard Roth, CBS News, Beijing.
I just love that description from Richard Roth, and you all remember the image of that single person. I loved how Richard Roth described it as, one man can't stop an army, except for he did. And that lone man standing there in Tiananmen Square in front of a line of tanks, armored tanks that were heading his direction, and he stopped them all in their tracks. And as Richard Roth rightly described, is it courage? Is it character? Is it anger? Is it frustration? What is it that caused that man to do that, to stand in front of an army, literally, and say enough? And that's how little movements began. It's one person. I think of the quote from Gandhi that says, first they ignore you. First they ignore you. Then they ridicule you. Then they fight you. Then you win. He said that's always the path. but it starts in that peaceful path. Yes, they often ignore you first. Often they will ridicule you next. Then they'll persecute you or take you on or go after you. But ultimately, you can win if you stay in that space of truth and belief in the cause and moving things forward in a significant way. Also significant today, another movement, the women's suffrage movement, came to fruition on this day in 1919, June 4th, 1919. Congress passes the 19th Amendment. And I thought, just in honor of the passage of the 19th Amendment, of course, a lot of great celebrations going on throughout the year. Sadly, some of them have been muted a little bit because of the pandemic. I hope we really rally those when we get to the fall. Of course, the statue of Sarah Hughes Cannon will be heading to Washington and installed there as part of the Utah collection. And we do celebrate that. But I thought we could do another little celebration and a little nostalgia for a lot of us. And let's go back to the 19th Amendment and a little Schoolhouse Rock.
Now you have heard of women's rights and how we've tried to reach new heights. If we're all created equal, that's us too. Yeah, but you will probably not recall that it's not been too long at all since we even had the right to cast a vote.
There you go, folks. There is our tribute today. A little Schoolhouse Rock for you on a Thursday. On this day, June 4th, 1919, Congress passes the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote, and cause for great celebration. It was long overdue. But again, think of the process and think of those that were willing to start out. I always like to go back and think through a great quote by William Morris, who said, "One person with an idea in their head is in danger of being called mad or crazy. Two people with the same idea might be foolish, but not crazy. 10 people with the same idea and they start to act. 100 people with the same idea and they start to get noticed. 1,000 people and they start to have success, results, tangible and real. 10,000, they can change the course of a conversation in a community. 100,000, they can change the course of a country. 1,000,000, they can change the destiny of the world." And so it's that progression. And so sometimes when we look at moments like we are having right now as a nation, and again, this country is good at moments. Our success at movements is a little spotty. We have some great movements, like the 19th Amendment being passed on this day in 1919. We have a lot of others where we've paused, we've come together, we've unified, we've prayed, we've shed tears, we've taken action on things. I think even the coronavirus has caused us to come together for a little longer period than normal as a country. But the test is always, can we sustain it? Can we sustain it? Will we sustain it? And if we do, what will we do with that moment? Will we transform it into something that really can change hearts and minds? Will we convert it into something that can change the course of the country? Will we be able to do the hard work and the heavy lifting when the cameras are no longer rolling, when national media is not giving it wall-to-wall coverage, when it's not flooding our Twitter feed or our social media posts? Then what will we do? We talked about this a little bit yesterday in terms of our willingness and ability to fully engage in this. Are we willing to get together with someone who doesn't look like us, doesn't think like us, or doesn't live like us? Because that's where some really amazing friendships begin. Acquaintance goes to friendship, goes to partnership, goes to things that can really change and become a sustainable movement. And to me, that's the ultimate test. Everything else is a lot of window dressing and can exhaust a lot of us. But we can do more. We can do better. And we're going to continue to talk about that as we move through the program today. We're going to go ahead and step aside for a quick commercial break. I can't wait for this next section. Dave Noriega is in the building, and we are going to have a conversation right here on Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. Don't miss this.
Martin's Collision Repair.
Over 50,000 cars repaired, and a lot of those car owners have posted a review online.
Lee posted, Martin's Collision did an excellent job. The car looked perfect when the work was completed. I will always work with Martin's.
Hi, I'm Tiago Martins. Check Martin's Facebook page or martinscollision.com for the right repair, the right paint, the right choice. On State Street in Norham and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Go ductless and find your comfort zone with a revolutionary day and night constant comfort ductless home cooling and heating system, and turn hard to cool and heat rooms into year-round comfort zones. Day and night ductless systems are a simple upgrade and far more efficient than baseboards and wall heaters, saving you up to 50% on your energy costs. Ask your HVAC professional for day and night, or find a nearby day and night home comfort dealer at dayandnightcomfort.com. The difference is day and night.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Wasatch Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, I have great news. We can now fix the problem without any medication, injections, or surgery. Our advanced form of wave therapy is clinically proven to regrow blood vessels and restore spontaneity in the bedroom. We can do so quickly, affordably, and with zero side effects.
Hi, my name is Rich, and I'm an actual patient. I recently overcame my skepticism and started treatments last week. I was astonished to see instant results. These treatments work, and the increase in blood flow was immediate. My only regret is not starting sooner.
If you're struggling with ED and want a long-lasting fix, call in the next 2 minutes and we'll give you the medical assessment and ultrasound totally free. We'll also give you a special gift that produces instant results to improve your intimacy. That's a $400 value, totally free. Put a stop to your ED. Call 801-901-8000. That's 801-901-8000. Call Wasatch Medical right now to claim that offer. 801-901-8000.
I'm meteorologist Kevin Eubank in the KSL Weather Center. Listen for the KSL Weather and Allergy Report at 7:40 in the morning and 5:40 in the afternoon.
Brought to you by Superior Water and Air.
The VA Salt Lake City healthcare system knows how to care for veterans better than anyone else. Hi, I'm Jill Atwood, Director of Communications for the VA Rocky Mountain region. In this episode of Upholding Valor, a closer look at traumatic brain injury, its diagnosis and treatments. 22% of veterans are returning home from war with this devastating injury, but the VA Salt Lake City healthcare system employs experts and research unique to this injury and its recovery. This injury can also take its toll on families. To learn more about symptoms and treatment options, get the Upholding Valor podcast by texting veterans to 57500 or go to ksl360.com/veterans.
American United Federal Credit Union is proud to partner with the VA Salt Lake City healthcare system for Upholding Valor and always strives to be the difference that makes a difference in veterans' lives. Visit amucu.org/valor to learn more.
Here's the thing.
Life has changed dramatically for them.
We're all living the COVID crisis 24/7.
This is what you need to know.
So KSL5 News has it covered 24/7.
Happening right now on KSL Today.
From before sunrise.
Breaking news this afternoon, Governor
to a special 3-hour afternoon block of local and national coverage.
A full day's worth of developments to catch you up on.
Through the news at 10, KSLTV.com, and the KSL TV app.
There are so many questions coming of what's next.
Stay with KSL5 News for ongoing coronavirus coverage.
Have you still not refinanced your mortgage? Well, soon you might be kicking yourself in the head. Rates are at historic lows. At the same time, home values have gone up roughly 50% in the last several years. Maybe it's time to put that equity to work by paying off high-rate credit cards, personal loans, or remodel your house. Hi, I'm Wesley Hoagland with Westland Financial. Let us put you in a position to do any of these things with no closing costs. That's right. Nothing's rolled into your loan, whether it's conventional, FHA, or VA, will pay your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. Maybe you just want to lock in a lower rate or refinance out of paying mortgage insurance. All it takes is a 5-minute phone call to see how we can save you thousands of dollars a year. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. Call us at 888-455-3669. 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. 3669.
NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Hey, did you know 1 in 4 Utah crashes is caused by distracted driving? Not only is it illegal to text and drive in Utah, but it puts your life and the lives of others at risk. It can wait. Anything that takes away your attention is a distraction. So please focus on your driving and only on your driving. You'll be joining KSL on the road to zero fatalities. Zero fatalities. It's the only acceptable goal. Please don't text and drive.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Wyatt. First, fewer job losses are being reported. Nationwide, the Labor Department says for the 9th straight week, the number of first-time claims for unemployment benefits dropped. In Utah, about 5,000 people filed for first-time benefits last week, down from about 5,500 the week before. Second, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has decided to hold a virtual general conference again this October. The First Presidency said it will be similar to the April conference, which was closed to the general public because of the pandemic. And third, a Georgia state investigator says the white man accused of killing a black jogger in February was heard saying a racial slur. He stood over the mortally wounded man. The agent says Armand Arbery was repeatedly boxed in by 2 pickup trucks as he tried to escape. Partly cloudy today with a high of 94. It's 85 right now in Salt Lake City. Now let's get you back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. I am Boyd Matheson, opinion editor at the Deseret News. It is fantastic to be with you today. Hope you're having a fantastic day out there. And as always, we want to have you be part of the conversation here at KSL News Radio. You can do that on our Utah Community Credit Union KSL text line, 57500. Again, 57500, Utah Community Credit Union KSL text line. Be part of this dialogue and conversation as we, again, attempt to divide the rage from the reason and elevate the conversation in the process. So we have a lot going on and a lot coming up as it relates to election 2020.
Your voice, your vote 2020.
So as we announced on this program this week, a week from today, during this very hour, we'll have an extended version of Inside Sources. We will go from 11 to 12:30 with our partners at World Trade Center, Utah. Miles Hansen will join me, and we will be joined by the 4 Republican candidates for governor of the state of Utah. And we will have a deep dive dialogue, not a traditional debate in the way we go back and forth. It will be one candidate at a time. So we're going to spend significant time with each of the candidates having a real conversation about the real issues, policy proposals, things that matter, what's Utah's place in the world, especially coming out of the pandemic, and how and who can best lead us to that space. I'm convinced Utah has an extraordinary place and role to play in a global economy coming out of the pandemic. I don't think anyone's better positioned than we are. So I can't wait to hear what each of the candidates has to say in terms of what their vision is, how we maintain all the things we love about Utah, and how we maximize and leverage all those good things to share that with the rest of the world and bring more here to the state of Utah. So make sure you join us. Set yourself a reminder, beginning at 11 o'clock next Thursday, June 11th, until 12:30. The KSL News Radio and World Trade Center Utah will have a gubernatorial forum right here on the air. So join us, be part of that conversation. Now we're going to bring in our special guest today, who we have brought out of the secure, undisclosed location called his house. And I can't tell you, I was so excited when I heard Dave Noriega's in the building. Dave, welcome.
It's so true. I'm finally back. It's been, I can't even remember. I think it's 10 weeks that I've been home broadcasting. And I tell you, it's kind of nice to see humans that are not my children.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many, we've talked about so many of the different challenges of working from home, being a little bit isolated that way. I did resist. I want it noted in my file somewhere. I did resist the urge to just give Dave a big old bear hug, man hug, as he came in today. So I did resist. I am continuing to be disciplined in my social distancing. But Dave, tell us some of the challenges. Doing radio remote is tricky. Doing it from home is like an added degree of difficulty.
It is. It's juggling a bunch of things, especially with our show with Debbie Dujanovic. So much of the show is reaction and talking to each other and seeing facial expressions because we're just on the headsets and we're just communicating through verbal cues. You lose some of this, right?
Yeah.
When you're sitting across from someone and you say something and they give you kind of this weird look or they raise an eyebrow. when you're on the radio or you're social distancing or remote, whatever, you don't pick up on these things. So that's a very, very different way to communicate with coworkers, because sometimes you'll be going down a path and they give you a look. You're like, oh, eject. That's a terrible path.
Ripcord. Yes. Well, I know everyone has their favorite moment from a Zoom meeting. You get to go beyond that, because your great work from home moments aren't just on a Zoom meeting or a team meeting. Yours are broadcast to the world. And then you had one of those this morning with one of our colleagues.
This was incredible. So Debbie is on vacation, and Mary Richards joined me. And so the way we've done it is someone is in studio here in Salt Lake and someone is broadcasting from home. So I was lucky enough to come in to the station. So Mary is broadcasting from her garage because she's got 5 children, right? There is no chance of having any kind of quiet inside a house with 5 children. So she's been banished to the garage, and she tells everybody, she's like, Mom's on air. Don't talk. Don't bother me for 2 hours. I am off limits. Well, sure enough, and I think we've got the audio of this, but sure enough, we're in the middle of an interview and you'll hear one of her kids walks in and hits the garage door button.
Probably this weekend, and want to really encourage families to participate in that distance learning and parent satisfaction survey. It's going to help us shape the future of distance learning and how we modify things in the fall, depending on what conditions are like.
Oh, and camera on Mary right at that moment. That is classic broadcasting from the garage, trying to be professional, and the kid hits the garage door opener. That's fantastic.
It is just how it works, right? I mean, we're all scrambling, and she's like, shut it, and then he shuts it, and she's like, oh no, it's prolonging it. It's making it worse. But I think part of what we've learned from this social distancing and working from home is we're professionals, right? We try to be professional, but let's also not forget we're human. Like, we all have kids. Like, don't stress over this, folks. I mean, when you have an embarrassing thing happen to you, listen, we're all there. We're just glad it didn't happen to us.
Yeah, exactly. All right, very good. Well, Dave, it is great to have you in the building today. And as always, everyone, you can listen to Dave and Janovic every morning here on KSL News Radio, Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11. And always great insight, fascinating stuff, and a lot of great life lessons I think we're all picking up. So, Dave, great to see you. Great to have you in the building, and keep making it happen. This has been a high degree of difficulty past 10 weeks, but well done.
Thank you.
All right. Again, that's Dave Noriega from Dave and Dujanovic here on KSL News Radio. I just want to bring him in. He hadn't been in the building for so long. It's like, we got to have Dave on. We got to talk about what's going on at home and make sure he's actually still real. I was starting to wonder if Dave was maybe a holographic image from the past, or maybe from the future. Dave could have been from the future. Hadn't thought about that. All right. Okay, speaking of the future, we need to get to the future, and we're going to do that by getting to a break. When we come back, a very important conversation. We'll be joined by Joel Petersen, chairman of JetBlue, one of the great thinkers and business leaders in our country. He's got a lot of insight in terms of how we move forward on multiple fronts in difficult times. Stay with us here on KSL News Radio.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Nick Wyatt with KSL's top local story this half hour. Kaysville City isn't done with the controversy over a concert that never happened. Some residents have called on the mayor to resign, and KSL News Radio's Dan Bomas says she could get a formal scolding from the city council.
Mayor Katie Witt tells the Deseret News she won't resign, and she's not concerned about the official censure resolution the council plans to vote on tonight. She says she had to take a stand on the Utah Business Revival concert that had been planned for May 30th, even though council members say it violated city laws and health guidelines. Councilmember John Adams says he'd accepted the mayor's apology last week, but then he heard an ad for Mayor Witt's congressional campaign accusing the council of trying to silence the Constitution. Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio.
And our top national story from ABC News. Amid a pandemic and now protests, Las Vegas is reopening today.
Life is a little different at the casinos that are reopening, like at Bellagio, where now gamblers at the tables are spread out.
Yep, so normally you could do 6 per side. We're limiting it down to 3.
And now as the casinos reopen, there are hand-washing stations on the casino floors. The famous Bellagio fountains are back on. Airport traffic is finally moving up. It comes amid the outbreak concerns and protests. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Coronavirus coverage every 30 minutes on KSL News Radio. And your money at this moment. Looks like the Dow is down 75 points right now, sitting at 26,199. The S&P 500 has lost 16 points. The NASDAQ has given back 64. And coming up, drastic changes in the weather by Sunday. KSL weather is next. And KSL News Time is 11:31.
Even with school and work upside down right now, we're here.
Markets out of whack? We're here.
We're here for you with important news before 9.
You can always count on us.
KSL News Radio, Utah's all-day companion for news.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS number 3030.
The Attorney General advises every agency of state government and has the power to investigate or prosecute anyone. I'm David Levitt, candidate for Attorney General, and I believe that kind of unfettered power demands the philosophy that just because you can doesn't mean you should. Sean Reyes sees it differently. He took $50,000 from known criminals and spoke at their Christmas party. $125,000 in dark money, and we'll never know where that came from. $50,000 from a brine shrimp company? Did it get something from the Attorney General? He spent $60,000 of campaign funds at a celebrity event and called it Law Day. He treats his power like a private money trough rather than a public trust. It is all legal, but it shouldn't be. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Let's not give him a third term. It's time to elect an Attorney General who values ethics, transparency, and accountability. As Attorney General, that's just what I'll do. Learn more at davidlevitt.com. I'm David Levitt. I approve this message.
It was a rude awakening.
There was an AK-47 just pointed right in my face.
But that was only the beginning.
Whoa.
Now,
am I gonna live?
Hear the full story.
And what are they doing to him?
Of one man's struggle to survive.
We need help.
Inside one of the world's most notorious prisons.
Please, come and get me.
And the fight to set him free.
How long do I have to suffer here?
A new podcast that will hold you captive. Hope in Darkness, the Josh Holt story. Visit KSLpodcast.com to subscribe or binge the entire series on Wondery Plus.
At University of Utah Health, they take care of Utah like Utah takes care of each other. There's only one you. Be treated that way. Learn more at uofuhealth.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America, your home for home loans. And Ricky Meese, how's the drive?
Well, it's a beautiful day for a drive, Nick. And if you're traveling, big Cottonwood Canyon construction crews are out working on the shoulders. So if you're headed up that way, just be aware to use a little bit of caution and expect only minimal delays. We also have a crash in West Jordan, 90th south, about 4100 West. Ready to build your dream kitchen? Durden's has the best prices and rebates through the end of June. Durden's Appliance and Mattress on 5th South in Bountiful. Brands you know at prices you'll love. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy and warm today, a high of 94, 96 tomorrow. Thunderstorms and 80 by Saturday, down to 67 on Sunday. But right now it's 85 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM at KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's source for exclusive access and insights behind the news. Here's the opinion page editor of the Deseret News, Boyd Matheson, on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside Sources here on a Thursday on KSL News Radio. I am Boyd Matheson, opinion editor at the Deseret News. It is great to be with you. And as always, we're just trying to slow things down a little bit, divide the rage from the reason, elevate the conversation, connect the dots, and help it all make sense in our very tumultuous world right now. And really pleased to be joined by one of those voices of reason and voices of wisdom that I really appreciate. Joel Petersen joins us. Joel is an author and businessman. He's the chairman of JetBlue Airways. He was founding partner of Petersen Partners here in Salt Lake City, an investment management firm, author of numerous books, and again, one of my favorite thinkers. Joel, thanks for being with us today.
Boyd, great to be with you.
Well, we're in the middle of I'm not sure what middles we're into by this point in the program. It's so fascinating to watch over the last week how our focus has shifted so dramatically from the coronavirus and how do we move forward and what's the right strategy to dealing with social issues and unnecessary death and destruction on so many different levels. And that conversation, I think, has caused us to, we need to stop for a minute and make sure we keep our eye on the ball on both of these. We have to walk and chew gum together. I know you've been talking to a lot, especially in the business community, leaders everywhere, really, talking about how do we get there? How do we get past the fear? How do we rely on facts? And how do we strategically move forward?
I have, and I've been thinking about it. I've been troubled by it. You know, I wrote this book on entrepreneurial leadership, which is a form of leadership I think we really have, and is really rooted in facts, is rooted in things that are emerging over time. And entrepreneurial leaders are adjusting to the market all the time. And we've learned a lot about this virus. We've unfortunately learned a lot about the feelings of unmet grievances and what do we do to those. But I don't think we're adjusting rapidly enough to reality. Entrepreneurial leaders would take a very different approach from the very blunt approaches that we're taking right now. And they're quite dangerous.
Yeah, I do think that is a lot of people think of entrepreneurship as just, you know, flying by the seat of your pants and winging a prayer and just letting it rip. But the best entrepreneurs, the real serial entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, make sure they have that right mix of facts and gut and strategy. I always say hope is important, but hope is not a strategy. How do we apply that to this specific situation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the real entrepreneurial leaders always have their ear to the ground. They're adjusting, they're flexible, they're listening to people, and so many new facts have emerged in all of these areas that I think we could be way more clever. The New York Times journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones just gave an interview with CBS in which she announced that destroying property which can be replaced is not violence. And so she's been given kind of this bully pulpit from which to attempt to lay the groundwork for something that would harm, above all, those she naively thinks she's defending. So I think while we're struggling with the coronavirus, now we have people out who are not socially distancing. but who are looting and destroying property. And in many cases, it's the very businesses of the minorities that she thinks naively that she's defending. And to me, the facts on the ground just scream for a different approach.
Yeah.
And so I really want entrepreneurial leaders to stand up, speak up, give the facts, because a lot of this is rooted in generations old grievances and a lack of knowledge of the facts. And so I think we need to be smart.
Yeah, that entrepreneurial leadership is so critical. If you're just joining us, we have Joel Petersen on the line, chairman of JetBlue, great entrepreneur, great leader, teaches some business classes at Stanford University, which I'm assuming you're doing far away at this moment.
I'm doing online. That's right.
But Joel is, I love this idea of the entrepreneurial leadership approach that we have to constantly adjust to the facts on the ground. And whether it's the coronavirus, we have found some things that we thought were facts that weren't. And so then what do? Do we hunker down and just hold on to those, or do we rapidly change and adapt? I wanted to ask you, Joel, what is, as chairman of JetBlue, obviously you're doing some serious adapt, adjust, mental gymnastics of the highest order. Tell us a little bit. Everyone's kind of fascinated. What's going to happen in the airline industry?
Well, the airline industry is facing challenges unlike almost any other industry other than maybe hotels and cruise ships. So it's very challenging. Just for accuracy, I retired after 12 years as chairman of JetBlue 2 weeks ago. But I was very involved in all of the preparations up until then. And, job one is to make sure that you've got the liquidity going forward. You have to survive before you can thrive. And so every entrepreneurial leader knows that they have to extend the runway. And that means cutting back on capital expenditures, improving operations, in our case, grounding a bunch of planes, borrowing a bunch of money, both from the government and privately. And then you have to step back and say, what is our covenant with our customers, our employees, our suppliers, the government, everybody? And then how do we execute that promise going forward, which means reimagining the business a bit.
Oh, I absolutely love that. If you haven't picked up Joel's latest book, Entrepreneurial Leadership, and you're looking for something to really not just pass some time while maybe you're spending a little more at home, this is one that will rocket you forward in terms of thinking and approaching. Joel, one of the other things that you have talked about over the years that I think is going to be so vital, again, both in terms of moving forward on COVID-19 and reopening society and the economy, but also in dealing with some of these social things. And that is this issue of trust. You've spent a lot of time teaching and talking to leaders around the world about trust. What's the lesson for us in these current challenges?
Yeah, we've really strained the trust in society and across the board. And it's the most powerful operating system a business can have. It's the nature of relationships between human beings that allow things to move quickly, allow us to be flexible, allow us to change. And we've got to repair that broken trust. There's no question about it. And there are rules. The good news is there are laws. I wrote a book once called The 10 Laws of Trust, which describe how you can be intentional about building trust. You do it a conversation at a time, delivering a promise at a time. It's very fragile. You can destroy it in a single act, but it takes a long time to build. And we need to now commence the process of rebuilding trust.
Yeah, fantastic. Such great insight. I got just about a minute left, Joel, and I always like to give you a little space because I always want to know, what's Joel thinking about? What's surprising? What's surprising you? What's causing you to think, oh, I need to think more about that in these very interesting times?
Yeah, I think what is surprising me is the illogic and the discontinuity. 1 week ago, we were told we were in lockdown and had to socially distance and be so cautious. And now you see these crowds of people who are not socially distancing, who are lying down in streets. And nearly the news cycle has nearly forgotten about that. And so I think the media really owes us a lot of honesty, and really asking tough questions. And because most of us as consumers facts we get from the media don't really know which way to turn. We've received so many countervailing notions that I think we need clarity, and I think someone needs to speak clearly from a position of authority and trust. And that's the next thing that I think needs to happen.
Oh, that's fantastic. Joel Petersen, former chairman of JetBlue, author of Entrepreneurial Leadership and many other books. And as I said, just one of the great thinkers and leaders out there. If you ever want to think different about how you're leading your organization, your team, your community, your family, and yourself, just dive in for a minute into one of Joel's writings, and you will come out a very different person. Joel, thanks so much for taking time with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Boyd. Great to be with you.
All right, Joel Petersen again with us here on KSL News Radio. We're going to go ahead and step aside. We got one segment to go. We're going to talk about the difference between a moment and a movement. Can we do it in America? Find out next.
Guys, June is Men's Health Month. It's time to pay attention to your health and address those medical issues or conditions you've been putting off. Universal Men's Clinic wants you to know that they can improve the quality of life for most men suffering from low testosterone or ED. Healthy levels of testosterone can help improve your overall health and result in increased energy, muscle development, and better sleep. If you'd like to discuss the benefits of testosterone or ED treatment, Universal Men's Clinic encourages you to make an appointment. They make it easy and convenient. Choose an in-person or telemedicine consultation to receive their renowned personalized medical care. In celebration of Men's Health Month, Universal Men's Clinic will give you 75% off of your office visit and a free testosterone test. Make an appointment today, and your office visit will only be $49. Call Universal Men's Clinic at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit universalmensclinic.com.
Are you cool? You want to know how to be cool? I met this guy in Tucson. He says he grew up with a swamp cooler. During August, it was so hot and humid there, he says, that his swamp cooler blew steam. That sounds like the swamp cooler I grew up with. Why hassle with a swamp cooler or an unreliable, inefficient heating and air conditioning system when you can get $3,000 off a new high-efficiency system with our famous 10-year parts and labor warranty? We start with our premium Whipple Service Champion Signature Series equipment, but still the installation day is the most important day for your system. If not done properly, it will fail. You know we'll do it right, because if it fails, we have to fix it for free for 10 years. Be cool with $3,000 off your new system. Call Whipple Service Champions, 801-444-FAST. Call 801-444-FAST. Stay cool and have a fun summer.
Whipple, they come air condition your home.
NMLS ID 1224583. Right now, you may be planning how the golden years of your life are going to look. And when you think financially, think about this. A reverse mortgage can be a strategic part of that future. How? America West Financial has some great ideas. Maybe you have retirement plans, travel plans. Well, one call to 801-918-1000 and America West Financial Professionals will show you how to make your future happen the way you want it to. If you're 62 or older with better than 50% equity in your home, it's time to put that hard-earned equity to work for you. You'll still own and live in your home, only with no mortgage payments. So create a financial plan that allows you to make today and the coming years your golden years, your best years. Call America West Financial at 918-1000. Not everyone qualifies for this program, but it only takes a few minutes to find out, so it doesn't hurt to check. Call 801-918-1000. America West Financial.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Along with its challenges to coronavirus has prompted us to take a look at what's most important in life: health, family, and service to others. This spirit of engagement is behind the Driven to Assist blood drive, sponsored by the Salt Lake Chamber and the Larry H. Miller Group of Companies. Here's Amanda Covington to tell us more.
Driven to Assist offers us the opportunity to give something back to the community, particularly during the current health crisis. And it is easy to participate at Vivint Smart Home Arena today and tomorrow. Go to slchamber.com and there you can make an appointment to give at your convenience. Donors must be 16 years or older, weigh at least 110 pounds, and be in good health. Those under 18 must have parental consent. Please expect to have your temperature checked and wear a face mask when you arrive at the arena. Make sure you have an acceptable form of identification, and to expedite the process, we ask that you leave bags and backpacks at home.
The American Red Cross, Utah Department of Health, ARUP, HCA Healthcare, Intermountain Healthcare, Steward Healthcare, University of Utah Health, and the Downtown Alliance are also partners in the Driven to Assist blood drive. And we all look forward to seeing you today or tomorrow at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, and this is Speaking on Business.
For an adventure to remember, get to Reed Ranch, just 2 hours east of Salt Lake City, high in the Uinta Mountains. A day adventure at Reed Ranch includes lunch and dinner from in-house chefs, horseback riding, kayaks and canoes on the lake, sand volleyball, mountain biking, miniature golf, archery, and swimming. You can end each day perfectly with a classic campfire and s'mores. Visit reedranch.com to book your family adventure to remember today. reedranch.com, REID ranch.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Nick Wyatt. First, Kaysville Mayor Katie Witt says she won't be pressured into resigning after pushing for a country music concert in her city. The mayor says she had to take a stand, even though city council members say that concert would have violated city laws and health guidelines at the time. Second, Las Vegas is again an option for those looking to get away. The city is reopening today, but things look a little different with casinos following public health guidelines. If nothing else, the Bellagio fountains are back on. And third, New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees is apologizing today for comments he calls insensitive. Brees was pounced on by the likes of LeBron James, Richard Sherman, and others after saying he'd never support a form of protest that disrespects the American flag. Those critical of his comments reminded the quarterback that's not what taking a knee is about. Partly cloudy today with a high of 94 degrees. It's 85 right now in Salt Lake City. And now back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back, everyone. Final segment of Inside Sources here on a Thursday. I am Boyd Matheson, opinion editor at the Deseret News. And it's amazing how many important, impressive, amazing things have happened on this date in history. We kicked off the show by talking about the amazing events in Tiananmen Square, how a single man stopped an army, literally. And what kind of courage does it take to do that? What kind of commitment, what kind of understanding of the moment does that take? We talked about that on this date, June 4th, 1919. The 19th Amendment was passed, providing the right to vote for all, and how important that is. We even got a little schoolhouse rock in there to celebrate women's right to vote, and so many great celebrations are coming as it relates to the 19th Amendment throughout the rest of this year. We'll continue to monitor those. And it just so happens that two really significant people in my world were also born on this day. Well, that was quite the selection there, Kellyanne. Very well chosen. A special rendition of Happy Birthday to You. First, to my wife, Debbie. It is her birthday today. I won't tell you how many, but it is a number. I can confirm that. It is a number. She is another year older and wiser. And I'll tell you, whenever I do introductions, if I'm emceeing an event or doing an introduction to someone, it's easy to go through an introduction based on somebody's biography or their resume. And I always like to introduce people by their principles. And if I had to give my wife, Debbie, a shout out on her birthday, the principles are really simple. It's grit and grace. Who knew?
The long I say we, I count myself among the elderly now. Know how to turn on.
But a big happy birthday to Debbie. Grit and grace, I think, are just the two things that are extraordinary. She comes from the farm up in southeastern Washington. She learned the grit, the hard work, the perseverance, the patience that all of that takes. But then the extraordinary grace that she has that has made such a difference. And so big happy birthday to Debbie today. Also, it is a happy birthday to Utah's senior Senator Mike Lee today. Also born on June the 4th, and a big shout out to Senator Lee. And again, you could go through his resume. I would give the principles that drive the good senator from the state of Utah. He is authentic, and he is the best listener I've ever met. And most people don't think about that when they think of someone in politics. He listens in an extraordinary way. It's a gift I think he got from his dad, Rex Lee. In fact, most of the pictures, even though Rexley was the Solicitor General under Ronald Reagan, appeared and spoke and argued in front of the Supreme Court more than anyone in history, most of the photos you see of Rexley and even the statue of Rexley at Brigham Young University are of him listening. And his son, Mike Lee, our senior senator, whose birthday it is today, developed that gift, watched that in an amazing way back in Washington, and grateful for his service to our state and to the nation. So those are two extraordinary people on this date. And so, as with everything, the test of principles is how we live them and what we do with them. And I have long talked about on this program that America is really good at moments, and we are less good at movements. And so here we are in the wake of another tragedy. We've demonstrated as a country, once again, our ability to quickly come together. We can have a moment of unity. We can have a moment of mourning and reflection. We can cry. We can pray. We can march. We can demonstrate. We can give support for the victims and the survivors, and we can raise monies and memorials for causes. We can unite in our anger and frustration, and we can do all of those things. So we've gotten really good at that. And you can think of different moments in our history where we've done that really well. But it seems to be, to me, that we are less able these days to foster sustainable movements. Moments aren't hard to engage in. Again, we come together, we react, we donate, we do those things. But the moment passes. It always passes. And then what do? Do we just go on with our busy lives? And often I think as a nation, we're a lot like, I won't confess that I ever do this, but a lot of times when you're on the freeway, you can get going a little fast. But then maybe you hit a little patch of slick highway, or you come upon an accident. And for a moment, everything changes. You slow down. You proceed with caution for the next few miles. And then as that accident gets further and further into your rearview mirror, you start speeding up again. And before you know it, you're back doing what you were doing before. As a country, think of all the moments we've had, even just recently. I mean, you could go through just the tragic shootings from Columbine, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Marjorie Stone Douglas High in Florida, the tragic killing last week of George Floyd. But we have failed as a nation to transform those kind of moments into movements. It's hard. You got to have hard conversations, deep thinking. And in order to really have a movement take hold, we got to make sure that we set the politics aside, that we set the opportunistic folks aside from across the spectrum. There's many who are profiteers in all of these tragedies and these moments. And so following this George Floyd tragedy, we've got to be careful that we don't just reflexively act to do something or anything so we feel better for a moment. We must not, as a nation, as a community, as a society, we cannot confuse the current motion with forward movement. It takes more. It's much harder. So what are we going to do? The one thing we cannot do is allow many in our nation's capital to convince us that we're just too divided as a nation to deal with it. And remember, when Congress does that, when they say, well, we're just too divided to deal with this issue or that, we're just giving them an excuse to do nothing. So we need leadership. Talking to Joel Petersen, we need leadership. We need to square our shoulders, not shrug them. We need to engage full on, deep dive, not a civil war, a civil debate. And we should start that right here in the state of Utah, because we know how this is to be done. I'm Boyd Matheson, the opinion editor at the Deseret News. It is great to be with you today on Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. I just remind you, as you go out into the world today and every day, make sure that you see something that inspires, say something that uplifts, and get some forward movement. Today, do something that makes a difference.
Live breaking news, now on the mobile app for KSL.